Okay, the second speaker of session 3 is a co-founder of Apple, Steve Wozniak, who is regarded as a celebrity iconic member of Silicon Valley. Mr. Wozniak established Apple in 1976 and designed Apple's very first products, Apple I and Apple II. He serves as a permanent scientist of Fusion IO and focusing on creative activities at several business and philanthropic firms. With that, I will turn the session over to Mr. Wozniak for his speech titled Beyond IT, Smartphone and Google. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with Steve Wozniak with a big applause.
Very good to be here. I'm a little short on time. I may go over, and the interpreter asked me to speak slowly. It's funny, but it was a very good presentation on the automobile industry. You can think a lot about it, ask a lot of questions, but sort of over the last 100 years, automobile technology hasn't changed that much, except in the areas of electronics. And I come from the electronics and the IT industry. It's odd, but right now we're in the middle of a global recession, and yet business in Silicon Valley has been booming. The great companies Apple, Google, Cisco, and the like, even Microsoft up north, have been excelling with profits. And the worst time in our life as people was when the dot-com crash happened in like 2001, and everyone was unemployed. The way I judged it was there were fewer people driving on our highways. The city of San Jose, California, 10th largest city in the United States, center of Silicon Valley, lost population for the only time in its history in the year 2003. It was a very, very bad time, and I worry about the dangers of overheating, where technology is going so fast right now and so popular, and the new goods coming from all over the world. Technology starts with technologists, the sort of people, and turning out to be a technologist and what their values are and how they're going to apply that to technology is largely a matter of luck or chance, your parents, your environment. What inspired you? What kind of science fiction heroes? What kind of other technologists that did some great things inspired you to want to achieve that? So it's always to be the good guy. We're always saying that technology takes us to a better place. The ultimate better place, of course, is happier, more smiles, fewer frowns. So theoretically, technology is going to make life easier, give us more time for entertainment and luxuries, and that will make us happier. And it's hard to say, are we happier than people were 1,000 years ago? It's very difficult to say that technology really achieves that, but at least we're built inside to try to create a new world, to try to explore, to find solutions to things. We want to be a good guy, and we want to go into, we think of the technologist as the guy that works in a laboratory, analyzing data and trying little experiments, and also developing things, building the products that we use. And these things don't really come from having technology. They really come from the human mind, having a reason to think of something, having goals, motives, and skills to get there. It turns out that science and technology not only bring us happiness, like I have a dishwasher, and my great-great-grandparents didn't have a dishwasher or a clothes washer. And when I grew up, appliances in the home, things that make your life go easier and do things for you, those are good measures of technology. But they come with downsides. People would say computers today, children spend too much time with them and get lost from the real human world, and socialization is hurt. People would say that in studying the atom, we have nuclear reactors, but we also have the atomic bomb. So it's very difficult to answer, is technology always going to lead us to heaven? But that's how we're built as humans. We're born with this nature to explore things and create. It's just in us. And in the home life, the first great piece of technology I had in my hand on a personal level was a small transistor radio. And I could sleep with this device and listen to music all night long. It brought so much joy and new things into my life, into my world, that I wouldn't have had without it. My father worked for the military, and we were in Silicon Valley where the startup companies were building transistors and then starting to build the first chips that had 6 transistors on them. And I asked my father, so with 6 transistors, we're going to have better radios, better transistor radios in our hands, right? And he had to explain that no, there are big adult parts of the world, the military, the huge enterprises, the big corporations. They can afford the new technology. After a lot of years pass, there's bits of that technology are not as good and they're inexpensive, and that's what comes to consumers. So it was kind of, and I felt, darn, I want the technology to be developed for better radios, better consumer versus enterprise. Both markets are very, very important, of course, but it's interesting because today, the fastest chips, microprocessors, are generally built for computers and even for games. So really, our home is now creating the technology, the state-of-the-art technology that is used by the military, rather than vice versa. Over the last 20 years, technology has taken a lot of directions, mostly based on Moore's Law, and basically it brings us more for less. Every change, every new piece of technology, we have something more for a little bit less money, a little bit less manufacturing cost. Newer devices almost always use less energy. Battery technology is not only important to cars, it's also very, very important to all of our consumer electronics. And it's difficult, sometimes it's very difficult to measure if less energy is even green. But if you're managing, if you have, I'm going to talk about a company I'm with now, Fusion.io. I'm the chief scientist. And we take NAND flash memory chips from our partner Samsung. And we take them and put them on a board, and it's like 200 little low power, low performance disk drives on one board that plugs right in to a server, a computer, right next to the high-speed electrical links are there, and it does the work that a disk does, but it's not built like a disk. And we get such performance advantages that now you can have one machine, one server computer, and the whole world is based on the internet. Everything we do in life now is coming off of servers. One server replaced 10 or replaced racks and racks, replaced $300,000 worth of servers with one card. And our company, Fusion.io, is the originator of doing that technology the right way. So you've not only saved energy, you've saved the cost of buying so much extra equipment, all the other computers and high-speed hard disks and extremely expensive fiber optic links and everything that's part of a normal networking storage arrangement. So you've also saved money everywhere, and you don't have to manage as much equipment. You don't have to worry about as much. I always like things when they get small enough that it's personal in your hand. A computer spread out in many pieces along the floor was objectionable to me. I wanted to build my own that was all in one piece that I could carry. Obviously, it's the chip technology and the advancement in it that has made products so much smaller in our lives. I mean, you could hold up your phone and you have so much more of a computer than ever existed in the world around, say, 1990. And a lot of times, input-output is the bottleneck. Communicating with a user, if it's a consumer appliance, communicating with the user, the ways that we would enter data used to be the costly part. We had big, huge teletype machines that cost as much as an automobile just to talk to a small computer. And we progressed from that to inexpensive video displays and keyboards. And it was really an attempt to save money, to make things affordable. I look back and I think as a technologist, sometimes having very few resources, very little money, is an advantage to developing new good technology because you're forced to think of other solutions than the easy ones. Steve Jobs and I started Apple. Neither one of us had any money. We had no savings account. We had no wealthy parents, no one we could borrow money from, and we had no business experience. So sometimes it takes a lot of thinking. Find ways to do with what the resources you have are. The personal computer evolution over the years, I'm going to go quickly because I'm short of time. We kind of started out with the computers that talked with text, and they could solve problems and play games and organize a little bit of data for you and replace a typewriter. That was a key item, that the typewriter, somehow you could replace it but have advantages of being able to edit things and eventually store your material and retype it a different way later. That was the age of, the personal computers when they first came. Then we moved on to the age of really the home computer. Computers now had to have graphics, whatever company they were from, and they had to be in color. They had to have better communication to people as a result. You could display charts. You could make word processing documents with emphasis in how bold-faced things were, what color they were. It was kind of like advertising a bit. Words tell a story, but you can tell the brain a lot more with clever design and even pictures. Music started coming to the computers, and of course we added keyboards and then MIDI. Then we hit the age of VisiCalc, the first killer app. A small businessman could put down income and expenses month by month by month, make a little change and see the flow 6 months later. After playing with it for half an hour, the businessman would realize it would take me 10 years to do it by pencil and paper, the old method. So I would never do it. They would buy. Instantly, they had to buy the computer and the program to be their solution. Next, we moved into an age of artwork, sort of with the Macintosh days. Text now became pieces of art. Characters had a shape, like they did in the printing industry all of our lives. And, all of the years, hundreds of years since printing started. This was sort of the age of the rest of us. Those of us who were not technologists could now use a computer, and it would be as friendly and useful and easy as a book. And the computers became mouse-driven, which gave us more flexibility, and we still had the keyboard and the display. That was the input and the output. And it's a big part of the cost of any computer, particularly any laptop. We moved on to an age where artwork started getting onto computers. There was finally enough memory for programs like Photoshop to handle photographs, to do music editing, eventually to do video editing. And this attracted a lot of the artists, the ones who think as independent thinkers and judge a product by how nicely it works with you. In Apple, we've certainly learned that the Macintosh was a computer that people just came to love. And they always spoke about their PCs as machines they used, but they never developed that same great love for it. And that great love is what's pushing the industry to this day. I will explain later. We got up to the point then where we could finally keep songs. We had enough memory in a computer to store a song. So we could keep our music library, and eventually our music library, and that's like today. And we have our laptops, and we have the internet, and it's like all personal things are at our touch through the computer. And that's why the computer has become almost all of our life today. Almost everything we do with a computer, and think, how did I do this before? I didn't really have the same options before. Well, now we're getting into the home lifestyle is being affected very much by a computer. We've got the portability, we've got our smartphones, we've got our iPads, and we're walking around. A lot of applications and software, things a computer could do, don't make sense when it's a computer at home in one place. I mean, they work and they can give you some information, but when you can carry it with you wherever you are, that's really the true promise of technology today in 2010. So, of course, everything nowadays has a computer in it. You can make such a sophisticated computer on one chip that every product in the world has a computer. What do we notice? A lot of things are failing. And when they fail, you generally turn them off and turn them on, and it might work. Well, it's funny. I have a car. Every once in a while, I have to turn my car off, turn it back on, and whatever wasn't working now works. Maybe the air conditioner. I was on an airplane about a week ago, flying into South America, and when it pulled away from the gate in San Francisco, the pilot announced there was a problem with the plane and they had to go back to the gate. He turned the plane off. He turned the plane back on, and then explained to us, sometimes you have to turn it off and turn it on. You all have computers, right? So even an airplane, technology, we're getting to expect things to work much less than when I was young. That's a part of life and of the future. It's funny, but when you have your technology with you everywhere you go, all the time, it's a type of freedom, and once you have it, you don't want to go back. Now I walk through airports now, and I'm pulling up my iPhone. I've got all my flight data and gate data and where my baggage claim is, and it's just so nice to have some of these little advantages. I can watch my television at home right on my iPhone here in Korea, and it works great. And bandwidth is one of those big key issues. And I have never been in a hotel in my life, other than here now in Korea, that had as good a real salt bandwidth that actually works for me. Almost everywhere I go, it's a little bit too shaky to even watch videos when you're in a hotel. So if you need video, you're at home. And there's a sense, for what I want to see in the future with computers. And I mean, when I walk around, I've got so much personal entertainment. I can tune in right on my iPhone. I can tune in Pandora Radio, and I get radio stations with the music that I like. And I say, how do they know what I like? They watch what I listen to, make a simple determination, we will get similar things. When I make a purchase on Amazon, books or CDs, it notices my selections and offers things that I might be interested in. And the list is very good. The list is exactly what I would really want to look for. How incredible. I don't have to go to the store. The store came to me and it modified itself for me. The iTunes Genius selections and things like this. We got all these extra benefits from the computers as though it's a helpful person. And we got this kind of help as though we've created a form of intelligence. We've created it without even trying. It sort of happened to accidentally come. It was just there. I think about the internet. They say that the number of nodes on the internet is of the order of magnitude of the number of neurons in a brain. And we didn't create the internet thinking we're creating a brain. That was not our end goal. But we've got the number of nodes, and the number of network connections on the internet is order of magnitude the number of synapses in your brain. And all of a sudden, if I have a difficult question, I used to go to a smart person, and I would ask the smart person for an answer. Now who do I go to? Well, the name starts with G. It's either Google or God. Let's try Google. So you go to Google, and you get many better answers much faster. It's as though we have the form of intelligence. You don't even want to ask an intelligent person if you can type it into Google that fast. And you can type it in right from your phone. We're now moving to the age of gestures. For some reason, the way you use your hand, the way it fits technology has been always very important to us. Even the shape of our mouse at Apple came from a stone that Steve Jobs found in a creek. And it's like, and when I use the iPad and I move my hand around, for some reason, I feel happy. I feel like this was a fun experience using technology. I go back in my own time. When I developed my own personal computer, I wanted the computer not only to get the work done, and I worked as an engineer and wanted it to solve my programs without having to use their computer, but I also wanted it to be fun, in ways to play games, to be entertaining. I wanted it to be an enjoyable experience. Most people today tell me that all their computer work, the computer makes it enjoyable because it does so much so easily. Education is very important. Education is certainly the future of the world. I was brought up this way. Computers have a major role in that. Pretty much the key academic device, learning device of today is the computer, even for kids just typing reports. I think, I went back and taught young children because I wanted to. I did it for 8 years, full time. I did it with no press, it was secret. And it was great. I thought it was very important because if you can motivate a student to want to learn because a computer is fun, that's worth a lot more than what you actually teach them. Motivation is worth more. Somebody has to want to have a desire to learn. Education, I know, is very, very important in Asia. And partly I can point to one fact. Silicon Valley is one of 10 small counties in the United States out of thousands of counties. One of 10 where more than half of the people speak non-English at home. Okay, they've come from mostly Asia because technology, mathematics, science is so high a value here. And they come to California and they want to put it into practice, work for the technology companies, the silicon companies, the computer companies, and the other engineering companies, and also as, doctors and dentists and lawyers and what. So Cupertino, where Apple is located, is 60% Asian. It's the highest population in California or the United States. And it's happened because people have come in influx for the jobs in technology. I had this idea that kids, when you're taught in school, the presentation is fixed, like it is right here, and then you'll be tested later for a grade. I thought, why can't you select your grade before you start school? I want to have proficiency, all A's, and make that fixed. And why can't I say the variation in how I get the material presented will change? Well, if you have a computer, 30 computers in a classroom, and they are like teachers, then you'll have 30 different variable. Every student will be going at a different rate. And that will be like a variable presentation, but a fixed grade. And I really like that idea. We're not allowed in our public schools to do that. And almost all the problems in public schools boil down to money, but it's old versus young. People get older and they no longer have children in school, and they don't want to pay for schools with taxes. And the people who have children in schools only get 2 votes, the same as a family that has no children. A family of 5 only gets 2 votes, and votes determine money in our democratic systems. So schools are always going to be impoverished, looking for money, not really having what they deserve. What if we had how do you make a computer be a real teacher, like a real person? We're talking artificial intelligence. You know, any computer nowadays is a really good presenter, but after a while it's mechanical, as much as it tries not to be. A real person will present very different information to you, will be able to look at your face and see that a student is tired today. We'll ask questions. By the way, how did your brother do in his baseball game? A real teacher there's a personality that goes with a human. Maybe even a shape. Maybe we even need it to be a robot. But I find that every time we get one step closer to a computer being more like human, the more children are interested in learning from it. So I think that's a good key. In artificial intelligence itself, we've taken very small steps, one discipline at a time. We don't combine all the disciplines. It takes us a long time to combine the disciplines to do a job like listening and hearing somebody speak in a noisy room. There's not just one simple answer and one simple solution. It's really unfair, but it's getting better. I think, could a robot make a cup of coffee? Well, the robot would have to come into my house and make a cup of coffee. You all could do it. This robot would have to walk over obstacles, find a kitchen, find a coffee maker, figure out how it works, search drawers for pieces. No company's ever going to build this machine. Probably no research university is. But if some young child, 16 years old, gets a mentality in his head that he wants to do it someday, through his life he's going to pay attention to every discipline that matters in making this machine, and it may happen someday. That's the way these things are born. Well, art and creativity. One measure of intelligence is our ability to create and be artful. We can create great music. People have written programs, of course, that create music on a computer that sounds indistinguishable to a lot of us from the great symphonies. But the really great works of art somehow have to come from a human that understands the emotional impact of certain types of music. And a robot hasn't lived a human life. It can't understand the emotional part of the artwork. So I would think that a real robot, real true artificial intelligence, would have to grow up and over years go through a lot of human experiences, socializing, playing games, going on vacations, being in places of the world, and understanding what the benefits and what the emotions that go along with that are. Right now, Apple has a reputation for being one of the great leaders for change. We do things a lot first and other people follow our paths. And we do them better, and we put so much quality and excellence into things, and we think it out, and we don't make junk. We don't make junk. Its ability to say no is a big part of the issue. And I used to think, wow, if you have a company, great companies, Samsung is certainly one of the greatest, that make great products, that will lead the world to the future. And now I start to think Apple has a community, millions of people that love its products. For some reason, I don't know why it's love. but it is. Don't see it with very many products ever in your life. And every time Apple comes up with something new, they line up to buy it. We sold 1.7 million new iPhones in a couple days recently. It's unbelievable. It's unheard of. I really think now that we who are fans of this equipment, we have been satisfied and happy with Apple products, and we love every one of them. We feel that we are the ones that are making it possible to take the world forward. We will adopt to whatever the Apple products are, the new products, the new developments, the new technology, and we will therefore cause the world to change because of our large numbers. That's all. I'm going to conclude now because we're running so short of time, and move on to the next presenter. Thank you very much. We have a 20-minute break, but it's going to be shortened to 10 minutes, I think. Thanks very much.